With a brand like Masters of the Universe, there's going to be an epic history, and with epic histories come epic battles. We all love epic battles because they're an excuse to bring more toys onto the playfield or playroom, and of course everything that happens in 3 is better, whether it's classic Star Wars movies, Stooges, or French Hen. The point is, 1 is good and 3 is better, which is why now we're talking about the Third Ultimate Battleground. But the problem with that is that we had main villains. We had Skeletor, Hordak, and King Hiss, and now Skeletor, Hordak, and King Hiss are all dead. So what are we going to do? We're going to need a new villain. And by new villain, I mean an old villain. And by old villain, I mean an established villain that's already been around with the brand that we can now bring back and make exciting as an adversary for the Third Ultimate Battleground. And for that, we're going to turn to the final mini-comic in the original series, where King Hiss in a throwaway line talks about the Unnamed One that he serves. Who exactly this is, we're never led to believe because, as I said, it was the last mini-comic, and last means end. So, who is the Unnamed One? Well, for a long time he was a mystery. Fans speculated that it could have been anything. It could have been a giant monster, it could have been someone with tentacles, or it could have just been a wizard. And of course, surprise, surprise, and disappointment when it just turned out to be another Trollin. Of course, he had to have a background, and Orko told that story in the mini-comics, where a wave of energy created by the universe was placed inside of a sword for protection, but of course, if something is placed inside of something for protection, someone's going to try to take it, and that someone is the Unnamed One. While he was banished, he then returned in the mini-comics, filled with an entire entourage of evil warriors, because reasons. And now that we had a new adversary, of course, we had to have a hero, and who had to now protect that sword. And what's the best way to protect that sword? Well, it's to remove it from the game board. Anyone who plays chess knows this, and even if you don't know how to play chess, you know that the best way to remove something from the situation is time travel, solver of all problems forever and ever. So now we have our heroes going off to Preternia in the past, where our hero meets the other hero, also named Hero. If you can't keep track, I suggest you get a piece of paper. Now, our villains back in the present time are gathering forces with Skeletine, evil son of Evelyn, and Skeletor decides he's going to gather all of the cosmic bad guys and get ready for a giant battle. He brings together lots of villains that remind us of old villains, but new is always better, which is why they're now the new evil warriors. And of course, the Unnamed One is still out there, and he has now gotten the Tablet of Separation, which of course he knows he can use this to take the planet apart and get inside of the Chewy center.
1, 2, 3.
Now that we've firmly established that the planet Eternia is absolutely not any different from a Tootsie Roll Pop, we can return to our adventure, where we find Hero being trained by Hero in Preternia and learning everything he needs about fighting, and of course, what makes him different is he's also going to learn about magic. Eldor being a magician and Hero being his apprentice, it's time to teach the other hero about this. And of course this had a really big inside joke for the fans that thinking like a wizard meant he would need to memorize. Hence the spell is the spell of memorization. You can translate that with an English substitute and then figure out what the entire spell is. I'm actually surprised no one's ever done this. Hero and Hero 2 would then go on many adventures, saving, battling, and of course taking little children out of fires, which is a good thing because putting little children in fires is bad. Now with Eternia broken in 2 pieces, all of the Magic Warriors need to seal it up again with a little help from a cameo from a mini-comic. That's a video for another time. And Hero can now send Hero 2 back to the future, where he can participate in what is officially the Third Ultimate Battleground. Lots of Easter eggs, lots of characters, and of course references galore. While this piece of art was brilliantly done, it doesn't quite include all of the characters and all of the situations that was originally intended. In fact, if you look at the top left of the screen here, you will notice there is a large blank spot. Well, this spot, while it looks like She-Ra is charging against no one and Icarius is also leaping against someone, well, that's because in the original art that was commissioned from Axel, but before he was removed from the project when Toy Guru left the brand, that there were more characters intended. In fact, huge amounts of them were left out of the final art, which would have made the picture look a lot more complete than it is. But what are you going to do? Timetables, budgets, and corporate America. So this brings us to the end of the battle, where the good guys fighting against the bad guys decide they're both going to bring back the quintessential good guys and bad guys by casting Hero's Call and Villain's Call, which allows the quintessential versions of the quintessential heroes and villains to have one last final battle. Why would we do this? Well, fan service, which is great, except when it's not. Now, of course, what would a final battle be without a final moment? And Orko provides what is a distraction.
Dance off, bro. Me and you.
And then allows Hero 2 to thrust the Sword of He right through the Unnamed One, ending the Third Ultimate Battleground with his destruction, and his years of terror are now over. All of the villains and the heroes brought from their time periods are returned to their time periods without any ado aplomb, and everyone can now rest except for, of course, Skeleton, who takes off in a griffin because that's what people do in Masters of the Universe when they are fleeing, and they head, of course, into the sunset, which, of course, I do not recommend you actually do this because the sun is very hot. Now, this all sets up Skeleton and Dare, aka Hero 2, for the End of Wars, which will be the final battle on Eternia, but again, that's a video for another time. The Third Ultimate Battleground being over, Castle Grayskull's rebuilt as a magical, mystical energy castle, and we can all go home.